What's up, guys? We got Claws episode 7. This time it's called Escape. We're going to get right into it, so check us out. This is my favorite song, guys. I had to play this on there because it's solo. It's just me. It's your boy DeAnjilo. We in the house, and we're gonna review Claws episode 7, Escape. I'm excited because I got my boy Nas in the background. He gonna hype me up for this intro right quick. Let me just get the lyrics a little bit. I want to hear it. Now let's get it all in perspective for all y'all enjoying me. This song y'all can step with. Yeah, if y'all don't know this song, y'all need to, okay? Because Nas is the best rapper alive. That's not a controversial statement. But this has made you look one of his hottest tracks. But that has nothing to do with the show, other than the fact that we had the gunshot at the beginning. So that, you know, like, we had a lot of gunshots. As always in the show, it's a lot of drama, a lot of things going on. Before we get into the episode again, I'm DeAnjilo. You can me up on Twitter at DeAnjilo TV or at DeAnjilo on Instagram. It's the solo dolo show for me. So this is my first time doing it. I'm excited to see what's going to happen because this is going to be an experiment for me and for you guys. But let's get into it, man. I would say, firstly, this is probably my favorite episode with Claws so far. I would say that, like, the season so far, obviously already renewed for season 2, so a lot of strong fans. But I say the season has been building up to stuff like this, and we finally got, like, some questions answered. We finally got some character development. Roller, we got a lot of information about him, and I would say this is the episode that really got me, like, connected to the show. Because there was just so many questions, so many incomplete things, and I would say finally, like, I'm gonna say I'm 100% invested into the show because it was a really good episode, and I'll say probably the best one so far. So what we're gonna do is I think I had a lot of questions coming into this episode. I'm gonna present the question, and then I'm gonna kind of put my thoughts out there with it. First, obviously we know Bryce killed the foster parents who were framed by Desna and Virginia and Polly. My question was, will Bryce come back around after killing someone? It was, you know, for him, that's a lot different than if it was for Clay or any of the other guys. Roller, he's not a natural born killer, so it had a big influence on him because he did it for very emotional reasons, which is just, you know, that changes a man. And I would say from what we saw in the episode, will Bryce come back around? I think so. It's going to be a weird dynamic. But at the end, when they were dancing and they were talking about taking their sobriety back more seriously and working on a relationship, I was like, okay, wow, like, this is like, that's good that even in all the storm, all the turmoil, and all the tornadoes pretty much that's going on around them, they, at their core, still able to want to still be pure in a way, which I don't know if I really expected. I thought Bryce was a goner, but we do have Roller coming back at some point, so I guess Bryce is going to have to catch a conscience. I don't know. But one big thing, obviously, is that Bryce still doesn't know that that Desna is the reason that Roller was killed, to his knowledge. And I think it's going to be, I tell you, I don't know if y'all saw the trailer after episode 7 with Roller coming back to everyone. I tell you, that's gonna be a juicy episode, but we have to wait a week for that one. This is like that kind of the calm before the storm almost. Finally some things had gone right for Desna, who never gets things to go right. Dean had a great episode, but I think when it comes to the initial question of, is Bryce gonna come back around, I think so, but it's gonna be really interesting once Roller comes back around, how that changes the dynamic for the next episode. But for now, Bryce is in good situation. He seems to have a handle on things, or at least he identified that he has an issue and they need to come back together and work on stuff. So that was really good to see. My next question was, will Jenn find out what Desna, Polly, and Virginia did in this episode? My answer was going to be no. All right. I was dead wrong. Dead wrong. She found out. She put 2 and 2 together. And how she handled it was interesting, I think. I think I would have thought she would have been a little bit more volatile, but she was very passive about it, even when she already knew and Desna was in the mansion. And side note, who is Hank? I'm trying to figure that out, guys. If you guys, I know that maybe they had a past relationship. I know he's had an appearance in an episode before, but, like, I'm really trying to figure out who is Hank and why is he like the side guy that she always pulls to the side. But anyway, when Desna came into the mansion to talk to Jenn, I thought she was pretty calm for someone who knew that, you know, Desna is pretty much the reason that her marriage with Bryce might have a downfall, or she at least played a big influence in him changing as a man and becoming a murderer, essentially. But so that's why I didn't know that she already knew. She had put together that they killed Roller. And by the end of the episode, obviously they're having a full-blown conversation with emotions and all that type of stuff. It was impressive, I think, um, that she's willing to forgive Desna so quickly or easily. Because I think, she said she doesn't know, but it just definitely seems like she is down to, just even in having a dialogue and listening to Desna explain. I think that was impressive. It says a lot about the team's core. The fact that Jenn was the last one, well, I guess Quiet Ann was technically the last one to find out, but Jenn is supposed to be the closest to Desna. She was also the most difficult. It was too much going on for Desna to feel like she could tell Jenn, and she did. So eventually, Jenn found out. And I think just the dynamic of her finding out and being willing to listen to Desna, and they are willing to work through the process. I was impressed by that. I was impressed that it took less than one episode for her to forgive her, essentially, or at least be willing to start forgiving her. But it was kind of a cool moment at the end of the party when Desna talks to Clay and he lets her out. I mean, like, I know that moment meant a lot to her because there's so many reasons that she wasn't able to get out, that all of these things preventing her from finally really getting out. And now Roller's coming back, so like it's not really over. It's actually just starting, but it's good to at least see that apex kind of like come to a conclusion. But at the same time, I tell you guys, I know we're on episode 7, we were reviewing that, but I can't wait to see what happens when Roller comes back, and who are the Russians and what role they play going forward. But let me go in the order that I said I'm going to go in. Again, Quiet Ann is still. We also found that the Quiet Ann is still talking to the cop, which everybody told her to not do. But I mean, come on. When everybody tells you not to do something when it comes to a relationship, of course you're going to do it. I mean, it makes it all the more fun. You're sneaking around, all that good stuff. But they've gotten to a point where, first it was interesting. Quiet Ann like seems to be okay with the idea of marrying this girl, so she's definitely into her. But amazingly, the cop doesn't know anything about her, other than some sexual stuff. And I thought that was interesting. I'm trying to find out what kind of game she spit in Quiet Ann to eventually, she got that far with her, and she didn't even really say nothing. But so she got game, obviously. But the cop who is, the co-cop of the guy who's working for Clay is with Quiet Ann, and I think that is going to be the messiest situation. But on a side note, I really like their relationship. They seem really cute. They have a great dynamic, and she is pulling out some great qualities in her, and also she's the least craziest girl we've seen Quiet Ann with thus far. So, I approve of everything other than the fact that she is a cop, and she'll be the downfall of all the dirty stuff they're doing. But at least Quiet Ann is happy for now. That's what I'll say there. And then here's one thing I thought was really interesting, and I think I didn't realize it, the extent to which I didn't feel like Clay really respected Desna at all, because anytime she wants to have a conversation, he's kind of, it depends on his mood, other variables. She does all the work and gets none of the credit, and it's just crazy. Like, I'm wondering, like, is it because she's a female? Like, what's the reason that he lacks so much respect for her? But I can't hold too much against him because he let her free. He let her out. But again, at the end, he said, businesses fail all the time, so I'll be here waiting for you to come back to me. So it's just kind of like there's a complete lack of respect, which I think is so undeserved considering all the work she's done for the company. It would be nothing without her, even when Roller was there. So it was really interesting to see that dynamic because I don't think I knew that. But once we got, past all of that, and we were getting to the dynamic with Roller and his slave, I don't know what to call her, but the artist who is holding him hostage essentially and raping him. We have a conversation about that. I will agree that it was definitely rape. So I think with that, I think it was kind of impressive how Roller got out of that situation, because man, like that's just a crazy situation to be in, obviously, to be someone's slave, essentially, a sex slave. But he was very patient, and I think it's the smartest I've seen him so far in this show. I think he was very strategic. He was patient. And if that Roller comes back and he's back in the dynamic with Virginia and Desna and Bryce, I think that is gonna be really interesting, because I was really impressed with how he went about everything. He was strategic. He was patient. He used the right moments to make everything happen. So I think I was impressed by that. And Roller obviously got free eventually. I'm still wondering. I don't know if he saw Dean in Virginia. No, obviously Virginia saw him, but did he see them before he ran away from his sex master? And was saved by the Russians. I'm really curious about that. I'm looking forward to seeing that once again in episode 8. Man, it's just so many things in this episode that happened that was just really interesting for me. But I think seeing how Roller handled that situation was one of the more impressive things of this episode. Here's another thing that I thought was kind of cool. They gave us 2 scenarios. Jenn is in front of her husband. She got a couple of drinks in her. She's really wanting to tell someone the truth. And this is before she actually had that conversation with Desna about why everything went down the way it did. They give us a scenario where basically Jenn actually tells Bryce the truth. And Bryce, he's raged. Desna apparently comes out of nowhere and she's next to them. And he flares his gun. He finds out that, she killed Roller and she's the reason that he killed innocent people, essentially, even if they're evil people. And he hauls off and shoots her. And I want to know if you guys actually think that actually happened. I was not convinced. I know it's like, okay, somebody's dreaming. Like, I just knew there's no way Desna's getting shot like that, at least, by Bryce. But it was kind of a cool cinematic thing on how they read that to just kind of like show that and maybe get a couple people's heart dropping. But obviously that didn't happen, and Jenn grabbed her bottle and stormed off, and she was able to have that conversation with Desna. But it does say, it brings a question of, if Bryce ever finds out, what's going to happen? Now that Jenn is back on Desna's side. But like, what's actually going to happen if Bryce ever finds out? And he may when Roller comes next episode. But I thought it was kind of cool that they kind of wrote it that way and they decided to sequence it in that way. I will say that I think the writing has been very good and has gotten better each episode. And I'm excited to see how episode 8 kind of transpires with that. I think episode 7 is maybe the strongest I've seen with the writing so far. And I mean, I'm telling you guys, like, I'm not just saying this because I'm reviewing the show. I really enjoyed this episode. I think it was one of the better ones for sure. And so the Russians grabbed Roller at the end. They throw him in the van. Now, if you saw the trailer, you know that eventually Roller gets back with everyone else. I'm trying to figure out what the Russians' agenda is, what they're trying to do. I want to know what you guys think in the comments as well, but I don't really get their variable, but we've seen them time and time again. We know they aren't on Desna's side because the Russian lady is in front of Desna asking her what happened to Roller, obviously knowing that Desna had something to do with the murder. And she's like, well, when that happens to us, we handle the business. You know what I mean? Like we kill them. We kill whoever did it, and we do it quickly. So I think that was her basically letting them know, look, I know what happened. So I'm trying to figure out what kind of thing they'll be adding to the story arc that we already have. My couple theories are that the Russians are trying to take over. They can't be trying to take over the business. So I think actually that's the only thing that makes sense. They have to be trying to take over the business, not maybe from Clay or work with them, be part of the expansion, because obviously business is going very well for them, these guys. And that's the only thing I can really think of that they're trying to get out of this, because why else would they try to save Roller, save him from getting shot, because he was going to be dead. He was going to be gone. And so I'm really intrigued to see how that comes about going forward as well. Oh, another thing we got to talk about, Dr. Ken and Polly. Let's talk about that. How do you guys feel about that relationship? Do you approve of it? I approve of it, because 2 crazy folks together, or, I don't call them crazy, but crazy. 2 crazy folks together, I think that just because it's like a perfect storm. We even each other out. I understand the way you think. I understand that you don't think rationally, and I don't think rationally. Also, Polly is like sexually deprived, and Dr. Ken apparently has a high sex drive. So, everybody's gonna be happy from the situation. I thought it was really sweet to see them dance there for a little bit. And for Polly's friend to tell Polly, you deserve love too. I think she's so focused on all the other things she's doing in regards to, stealing out people's identities. Also helping out Virginia and Desna. I thought, that moment for her was really cool. Dr. Ken, he needs some attention too. So it was kind of cool to see them, he was smooth a little bit for a while. So it was just kind of cool to have that moment. I hope we see a little bit more with them, and, they're happy at least, because people need happiness. I'll leave that there. And speaking of happiness, my boy Dean got it in. All right. I want to know. I have mixed emotions towards him and Carucci getting it in, because I don't get Carucci, aka Virginia. I don't get what her agenda was. Obviously, Dean isn't the type of guy that's gonna be cool with having sex and rolling out, and that's it. You know what I mean? Obviously, this wasn't his first time, but like, even if he was a stable personality and didn't have, autistic behaviors, he still comes off as a guy who, he's gonna be committed to that one woman. So there's no way in the world you think he is a virgin essentially when it comes to having sex with a female and consenting. There's no way, I don't understand why she thinks that like she was going to let him hit it and then that was going to be it. There's no way. And now she's in a situation where, he is emotionally invested and he has the added variable of being, mentally disabled to an extent. So now it's just kind of like, man, they're a really cute couple, and I wish they could actually be a couple. But the fact that she, eventually is going to want to get out of that situation, that's going to get messy. And wait till Desna finds out. Man, I don't know if Virginia is going to live to see season 2 when she finds that out. So, but I'm not going to lie. I was happy for Dean. I was happy that, he had a great episode, man. He was whipping some ass because somebody came at Virginia. He was showing his stuff, and everybody was like, damn. I mean, that was cool. And, he got it in. He got the smash. So, shout out to Dean. Shout out to Harold Perriman, who I think is a very, very impressive actor. Got to talk with him on the red carpet, so check that out, please. Great interview with him. But also, I think he's done a very good job because, I had someone ask me, okay, does this guy actually have this issue, or is he acting? I think when people, even though it's a comical question, I think, but even when people are having that question that even comes across their head, I think that's very impressive. I think that shows how impressive an actor you have to be. And I think he has shown great character dynamic. He's very believable. Even when like kissing Virginia, I still believe that he was. Firstly, I'm jealous. You got to kiss Carucci. I need to take a moment, guys. Actually, I just thought about that. Somebody got to kiss Carucci, and it wasn't me. But now that I'm over that, I will say that I think he's done an impressive job in all dynamics of his acting role. But that is going to be a messy situation whenever that goes down. And I think eventually he's going to actually find out that Virginia and Desna tried to kill him. And who knows what's going to happen there, because he really liked Roller as well. I think the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is the relationship with Desna and her new doctor boyfriend who's sending her dope flowers and stuff. I wonder if he's going to get hip to the game. I think he is. I think he's going to find out about the business. I don't think he was going to get into business because, he got his own money, he got his own avenue stream. But I'm very intrigued to see if they'll be able to make it past that as a relationship. Because I definitely like him for her, but like she messy, she always having phone calls and rolling out. He's like more patient than me, but shout out to you. But Jimmy Jean Luis, who I got to also interview, he's very good actor. I think he's doing a great job. I mean, shout out to all the Smooth Chocolate brothers out there. So, he handled his business. But yeah, man, I think once again, episode 7 was very, very strong episode. I think I'm excited to see how the last few episodes of the season comes about. We already know we're getting to season 2, so there's no question there. So I'm excited to see how Claws kind of continues to develop going forward. But man, I can't believe we got through all that, guys. That was the whole episode. We got our theories out there. Predictions, actually. Let me get a quick prediction in for you guys. What do I think is going to happen? I tell you what. We saw in the trailer that Roller is teasing that he knows who killed him, and he's standing in front of everyone. And Desna and Virginia apparently is there. I don't think Roller is going to reveal who actually killed or tried to kill him. He's going to definitely be holding this over Virginia and Desna's head for his own personal agenda, wherever that is. I think that's going to have something to do with the Russians, but I do think he's going to blame it on someone else. And I think that is who that's going to be. It's going to be really interesting. But it has a lot to do with whatever conversation he has with the Russians in the van. So actually, let me know you guys' theories on that, what's going to happen. But yo, that's it for me. Thank you for joining us. Once again, I'm DeAnjilo. All right, I'm DeAnjilo. You can hit me up on Twitter at DeAnjilo TV. You can hit me up at DeAnjilo on Instagram. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode 7. I tell you, man, I think that if the show kind of continues in this direction, continues with this voice, I think it's going to be really good. And I think season 2 is going to be even better. But thanks once again for joining us. Maybe I'll have a family with me next week. I don't know. I did enjoy having the stage to myself. I'm not going to lie. But I'll see you guys next week. We're going to review episode 8, which I know is going to be juicy. So see you guys later. Deuces.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me @KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.